With Citizen Weekend. Now, the 2018 Oscars will air live from the Dolby Theatre in Hollywood tomorrow. A Kenyan film based on the Mandera bus attack has been nominated for Best Live Action Short Film at the 90th Oscar Awards. Watu Wote is a film depicting the solidarity displayed by Muslims and Christians riding on a bus in Mandera. The Muslims shielded the Christians during an attack by Al-Shabaab militants on the bus on the 21st of December 2015. The 22-minute film is told through the eyes of a Christian passenger. And in the film, Salah Farah, a Muslim teacher at a local school, confronts the militants together with fellow Muslim passengers as the attackers attempt to separate Christian passengers and shoot them. Tonight on Citizen Weekend, find out more about this Kenyan film that is flying the Kenyan flag high in Hollywood. And remember, all eyes on the Oscars tomorrow. Let's take a look at what this film is all about.
بس كأنك السود ذاتينا ربع قال لهم الصبح إنك السود
wewe ulikuwa na mama Mkristo hapo wapi? Hapo wapi? Hapo wapi? Ndio umefundishwa ndani ya Qurani? Usinue.
Very proud. This is based on a true story, and with us in studio to share more about this particular film, I'll be introducing my panelists very shortly. But before that, just a brief intro to the cast members, some of the cast members who are actually, as we speak, in Hollywood, awaiting the attendance of the 90th Oscar Awards. Let's take a look at some of the cast members on Watu Wote. Okay, and these are some of the cast members, as you can see on our screens. First, there was Adeline Wairimo. We just saw, okay, this is Faisal Ahmed, who plays an Al-Shabaab leader. This is Barakat Abdirahman. He also features in this film. And there's Gerald Langiri, who is, of course, a Kenyan actor, producer. He's not a stranger to your screens, and he plays a GSU officer. Once again, just to remind you that this film is told through the eyes of Jua. It centers on a Christian woman who is taking a long-distance charter bus through Kenya to visit family. When she sees that most of the other passengers on this bus are Muslim, she becomes visibly uncomfortable. With us in studio to share more about this remarkable project that has put Kenya out there, has been nominated for an Oscar. With me in studio is Brian Munene. He's in script writing advice and also part of Lightbox Africa, which was the service production company on Watu Wote. Thanks for joining us, Brian. We're also joined by Lorella Joey, who is a casting director in this particular film. And we are also joined by Justin Mushiri, supporting cast on Watu Wote. Thanks for joining us, guys. Let me start with you, Brian. In terms of this movie addressing terror and radical extremism, let's talk about how well you feel as a part of the script writing advice that this movie did in terms of retelling what was actually a real life experience and bringing it to action, bringing it to life, and you know, just somehow capturing that mood on that fateful day.
One thing I'd like to say is that there was a lot of research that went into the script of this film. There's even a documentary on the process that went into crafting the story and selecting the protagonist of the story. We met survivors of the bus attack. We even met the driver of the said bus, who still has a bullet in his leg up to now. We spoke to everyone we could who was involved with this incident. We spoke to police people, we got reports, we interviewed people, and we went deep into the story of what actually happened on that day. And what people see on screen is a very accurate depiction with a few fictitious adjustments here and there of what actually happened on that day.
Yeah, and how long did this take? You say that there's a lot of research that was carried out. This actual event happened in 2015.
Yes.
Yeah.
It took a while. We shot the film mid-2016. It was mid-2016, yes. Because I remember the first time Tobias came to Kenya was towards the end of 2015.
And by Tobias, you mean the German, one of the German students?
Yes, he's the creative producer of the project. He came to Kenya. He got in touch with Matrid, who was the then founder and organizer of Udada Film Festival. Matrid brought Tobias to Lightbox. We had conversations on why he wanted to tell this story. We looked for everyone we could who was part of the story. We interviewed them. They told us intimate details of what happened, what they were experiencing. We even interviewed the person who was what Jua was sort of created after. She had lived in Mandera for quite a long time. She lost her family through various attacks by the Al-Shabaab. She came to Nairobi to seek refuge and was going back one last time, and this attack happened. And she was very afraid of her life. She didn't know what would happen, because on this route, anyone who's been in Kenya knows that this wasn't the first attack that has happened on that route.
Yeah.
It's happened several times before, but this time, people actually decided that enough is enough. I don't care if you're a Muslim.
And interestingly, before I come to Lorella, this particular film was not shot in Mandera. Do I stand to be corrected? Was it shot in Mandera?
No, it was not shot in Mandera because of security reasons.
Right.
Yes, it was shot in Ngomeni, Magadi, and Isili, and the CBD.
Okay,
yeah.
Right. To you, Lorella, as the casting director, what challenges did you experience trying to pick the appropriate characters that would fit into the shoes? Because this is a very emotive situation where you have Christians and Muslims on a bus, and where you need to depict that particular mood and bring out that raw emotion. So looking at your cast, I don't see too many big names. I don't see too many familiar names, save for one or two. What exactly were you looking for?
We really were keen on finding actors who could deliver these roles in a very believable way, and working very closely with Katja, who is the director, the German director of the film. She was really keen on finding actors who truly were not stars, but could just deliver the roles in a very pure and believable way. So that's what we really wanted. So finding like the lead Jua, we had ladies coming in, and we had 6, and then after callbacks 4, and then 2, and then so down to 2, and then we picked Adeline. But especially for the Somali actors, finding very good believable lead actors for the role of the leading terrorist, and Barkad's role was a little challenging because we didn't quite find a lot of them who are experienced and who could kind of deliver the dialogue the way we wanted it to. So so we had to bring in Barkad and Faisal, who are also in Captain Phillips, and that was kind of the challenging bit, especially in casting, finding good actors, especially from the Somali kind of origin.
In terms of promoting this film locally, do you feel there's been as much exposure? I know there was a premiere here and there, but has there been enough exposure right here locally in terms of sensitizing the public to know how big a deal this particular film is? Because I see a lot of international media talking about this particular film, but I'm not sure the exposure and the reaction has been quite the same locally. Do you agree?
Well, I think in Nairobi, because that's where primarily the film has shown, the reception has been good so far, because we had a week after the premiere, we had a week screening at the Junction, and after that we had 2 extensions, so it ran for 3 weeks. Okay. So
including tonight, where I believe there was something happening around Kilimani. Yes,
but it didn't because of the rain. So there is more being organized in terms of community screenings, and just taking the film a little further, so that probably other Kenyans can also be able to see it.
Right. And to you, Justin, let's examine the pros and cons. We're looking at the world stage, and we're looking at the Oscars now. So for you, having played supporting cast, what are some of the pros and cons that you feel that this particular film is going to bring to the Oscars, in terms of when you look at this being a local film, and when you look at the depiction of what is actually a real life situation, but then again when you look at the fact that some people might be a little bit uncomfortable with you know, just how intense this situation is, extremism, and of course the Al-Shabaab attacks, which are real and have been felt right here in the country. For you, having been part of this project, what do you think are the pros and cons?
Well, I could start by saying I remember we had a problem when there was a series, some show that used actual footage from the Westgate attack, and yeah, that was not taken well, because I think people felt that it didn't respect the people who were affected by that incident and their families. There was no, like, no one talked to the families. They just bought the footage, used it. For this particular instance, I feel that it's a good thing. The film is reenacted, and I feel as we're telling this story, we have an opportunity to celebrate the people who were affected by this incidents, and to actually stand up and say, you know, we're celebrating these guys who stood up and said, we're not fazed by you. We're not going to be separated by religion. We're going to stick together. We are Kenyans. And I think that's a very strong message that we should seek to really enforce and reinforce.
Yeah, what about the downside of this depiction of how extreme these attacks can get?
Well, honestly, I don't see a downside. I think it's just up to the security personnel in the country to step up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
But for the Oscars,
yeah.
Just specifically, because when I look at history, and I'm just gonna, you know, just briefly give you a reason why I ask this, is because shots that take place in Africa or are indirectly about the continent have not fared as well in this particular category that this movie has been slotted in. There's Nawewe of 2010, there's Assad 2012, That Wasn't Me 2013, Silent Nights 2016, all you know, having a depiction of some situation in the African continent. They've not done as well, irrespective of the fact that they've been nominated for Oscars. So like I said, the fact that some people out there might not be able to relate to what we locally can relate to, because somebody knows somebody somewhere that was affected, say, by the Westgate attack. Could that serve against the fate of this movie at the Oscars, in your opinion?
Well, I don't think so. I actually was having a similar conversation with Brian earlier, and I feel that as long as the story is told properly, that is how you reel people into a world they've never been in. A lot of work was put into this film, and it shows, because look at what we've got. And you know, I'd be surprised if you don't get it.
Plus, also looking at internationally right now, with Trump being president, the situation at Syria, the world is segregated. People are separated. People are not united as we would like them to be. So in as much as this might have been a movie about a terrorism attack, this is a movie about solidarity. This is a movie about people coming together and saying, we shall not be divided by race, religion, sex, and all these other things. We shall stand together as one. And I think everyone relates to that.
When we come back, because we're taking a very short break, even as your feedback comes in, there are those that feel that the ending does feel slightly abrupt. And so when you talk about that solidarity aspect, the critics feel, some critics feel that was lost because a little bit more time could have been spent on developing the relationships towards the end of the film. But we'll talk about why this is a 22-minute film, or you know, slightly under 30-minute film, and why the ending feels so abrupt for some. We're going to take a commercial break as you send in your messages. Remember, we're talking about Watu Wote, and all eyes will be on the Oscars tomorrow. The last time Kenya featured prominently on the Oscars was during Lupita Nyong'o's time, and this time round, of course, just celebrating that this real life story has come to life through the eyes of a teacher that was on that particular bus. We'll also be talking about one of the Muslim passengers on that bus who unfortunately died during that exchange between the Al-Shabaab and the passengers on that bus. We are back very shortly. Stay with us.